Freezing Vibration is an overstretched, disappointing, and kind of pointless sequel to yet another poorly made harem anime. This show deserves some tough love, because its premise ain't that bad actually. It's just the execution that underperforms. From what people tell me, the manga is way more cohesive and even darker than its animated adaptation. I can get behind that statement, considering that most of the katas are interesting and have diverse and thematic abilities. Freezing presents a post-apocalyptic world where humanity lives in fear from certain foreign entities called Nova. To combat such calamities, governments all over the world have started the Pandora Project, which means women with double D titties are now our only hope in saving humanity. These two concepts might not work that well with each other. Anything can be good, I guess, as long as it is executed properly, and freezing sadly isn't. The show should have either gone full dark and gritty with gore and destruction, or should have opted for a lighter tone that somehow manages to contain this premise in an average action shonen setup. Unfortunately, the writers decided to combine these options into one single show, which created some visible contrast between its ideas and constant fluctuations in tone. I can't really enjoy a fun or emotional moment when it gets often interrupted by politics, pointless action, or some unnecessary violence. Combine that with average cat development, and you get yourself quite a mess. Even the fanservice is done poorly. Don't get me wrong, I love me some titties.
Kindly avert your eyes!
And these ladies are stacked with appealing features. It's just that, again, all these changes in tonality don't blend together well enough for me to be able to enjoy these beautiful ladies to the extent of my desire.
She is conceited, pious, and quite prudish when it comes to contact of the physical variety.
I may even agree with some that consider the numerous panty shots to be at the detriment of the anime. I love me some panty shots, if done in moderation and at the appropriate moments. Here, however, I can feel the tension between two female fighters battling for their ideologies and pride because the camera is stuck on their asses for most of the time. If you're gonna have immature, edgy moments all the time, better go with a lighter tone for your series. For example, in Rosario Vampire, although a disappointing adaptation of its manga, it still manages to create an entertaining enough show that more or less makes fun of its source material, and it worked better than here. Obviously, I don't think Freezing would work as a slice-of-life comedy, given what is at stake in the story. But then take the fight between Pandora seriously. You don't need to throw fanservice at my face every frame. If I can see girls naked once or twice every episode, I'll be completely satisfied. Anyway, in this universe, women are the only ones doing all the fighting, while the guys are called limiters, and they basically just tag along for the ride. Initially, males were supposed to have a purpose within this premise, but as the anime progresses, most guys, and even the MC, sadly, are pushed to the side, and girls take almost complete center stage in the story. This was supposed to be a harem, but our insecure, underdeveloped main character has literally nothing to do in Freezing Vibration. This does not work. You can't have the protagonist be absent for the whole show, just have him standing around somewhere in the background. Well, I guess Satellizer L. Bridget is the main character in the second season now, and the girls are at the forefront of the series. It wasn't that bad of an idea, and yet the show already established that dudes are also important for combat, and on Pandora often they fight without them. The absence is weird. Anyway, trying to make sense of this mess, let's talk about what was interesting about Freezing Vibration. As I said before, girls are what matters, and their voluptuous bodies, of course. We get plenty of that. These are some well-stacked waifus that can fight, and even save humanity. So yeah, but we have a much smaller roster of characters in this season, as our main girls are now on a secret operation in Alaska, where the Pandora project is held. Given the importance of female fighters for the survival of the world, some branches of the government are willing to create artificial Pandora that aren't compatible with Stigmata to begin with, which creates immediate problems. In their development, once a few main cast of characters arrive at the facility to test the new Pandora recruits, they soon realize that something strange is going on. Apparently, the procedures used to create artificial Pandoras are not fully developed and therefore extremely dangerous. Once the subject has turned into a nova after receiving the Pandora treatment. It was clear how dangerous and deceiving this whole facility is, and some Pandoras are willing to take action and stop the experiments. Well, an interesting enough story arc, I guess. The only problem is that this whole thing could have been done in 4 episodes, and yet freezing vibration stretches it to the whole length of the season. Let's talk about some positive. This anime is a bit darker now, and it tries at least to focus more on cat development rather than action. At first I was pleasantly surprised on how serious some aspects of the world are being represented, with these mock battles and interactions between different classes of warriors. We get a bit of insight what motivated these girls to volunteer for the Pandora projects.
You know that Rattle became an Pandora so she would never have to worry about starving again.
We're also learning about the purpose of the facility, as it is more or less a covert operation, kept away from public eye and government officials. This whole setup turns into a civil war, as many Pandoras are against the exploitation of the facility and have decided to put an end to their project. At the center of all this is Elizabeth Mabley, also known as the Empress. She's the second-ranked, strongest third-year student from the United Kingdom, and also the daughter of a prestigious noble family. Elizabeth is basically the rich girl archetype, stuck up, proud, and confident in her abilities.
That attack was sloppy and easy to avoid.
She is strong though, and now she is determined to expose the truth behind the Pandora projects. But before she can do that, she has to take a few baths completely naked. Oh yeah. For some reason, Elizabeth is the only one that isn't wearing a swimsuit while at the pool, and doesn't shy away from exposing her skin to all the other girls around. She's a beautiful young woman, with blonde hair, blue eyes, and remarkably large breasts. Due to her splendid body and attractive looks, Elizabeth has earned her title as Pandora Queen many years in the past, until Satellite L. Bridget won the most recent one. Both voluptuous blondes with blue eyes. Gorgeous. I gotta say I'm on Team Elizabeth here. Sure, Bridget is beautiful and all, but Elizabeth has the personality of a true princess. She conducts herself in such a calm manner, and is mostly able to keep her cool, even in dire situations.
Stay out of this. You were ordered to remain on standby. Your help is not required here.
Noblesse oblige seems to be her motto, and she is willing to risk her life for what she believes in. She was my favorite girl from the first season of Freezing.
I suppose it is your own fault for being attracted. To girls like me.
Now she takes center stage, which would have been amazing if only they would have done her cat justice. The beginning of her story arc was going well. Elizabeth was showing concern for other less fortunate Pandora, and was even willing to make friends with them, while others kept their distance.
It's you. I'd rather you call me Elizabeth just like my friends do.
As she finds out about the dangerous procedures of the Pandora project, she is determined to expose the atrocities and leaks information about the facility. Unfortunately, her efforts are intercepted by authorities, and she has to pay a heavy price for her transgressions. She manages to survive and fight for another day, which culminates with her battle against Charles. Here's where her story arc lets me down. This should have been her final battle, where her skills, pride, determination, and wit should have secured her victory. But sadly she has to rely on her limiter, Andrew, to unfairly pin her opponent down while she blasts Charles with her vault weapons. On a lighter note, I gotta admit, Elizabeth is quite the loyal limiter.
I'm willing to do whatever I have to. I don't care what happens to me.
Andrew seems like a decent guy, and jealousy aside, I gotta say that he deserves that goddess.
Let's go.
Of course, my lady.
While all that is taking place, Satellites Bridget and the important main character are having a detour, as Satellites tries to convince her family to intervene in government business and put an end to the Pandora project. This leads into yet another character arc about the untouchable queen learning to accept others, but also coming to terms with her past and moving forward with her life. An arc we had already in the first season. Anyway, Frenzy Vibration is an uncohesive mess, And not even a blonde goddess like Elizabeth Mabley can save it from receiving a 6.3 out of 10.
Let's say the winner of this fight can do anything they want to the loser.